It's the Friday Morning Thumb on the Live 88.5 Morning Startup.
And it's movie reviews and a pick for the weekend. The Friday Morning Thumb. Christopher Redmond, Ottawa filmmaker and critic in this morning for Louis B. Hey, Chris.
Good morning. Good morning.
Thanks for coming in. What do you got for a thumb today?
Well, we are looking at Interstellar. Although I'm pronouncing that wrong. It should actually be Interstellar.
Okay.
Actually, that's not how it's pronounced. In my head, that's how it should be pronounced. It kind of has this 70s vibe to it. I don't know if you feel that when I hear that title. And I try to avoid previews all the time before I see something. And very most times that works in my favor. This time, it might have worked against me a little bit because I did picture this movie made by Christopher Nolan, who directed the Dark Knight trilogy and Inception, right? Be a bit more of an action adventure. Yeah. But it actually does retain some of that 70s vibe that I feel like the title has. It takes place in this sort of regressive future, in the not too distant future. It doesn't really say when, but technology hasn't really advanced a whole lot. And in fact, most of the population, it seems, has died off, is gone, and they're running out of food on the planet. Okay. So Matthew McConaughey plays this farmer who, through a series of events, ends up basically going to space to save the world. Now, it sounds like a Michael Bay premise, but it actually is not. And in fact, it's very much a drama set in space. And, you know, the real journey is away from his family, and it's an interesting film. You know, I'm still decompressing it. I just saw it yesterday. Right. I'm still kind of tackling with it. So, you know, I'm going to give
it's that deep. That
it is very deep.
With it?
Absolutely, yeah.
Wow.
My thumb is you know, lightly floating up right now, you know, defying gravity. But there's a lot to unpack here. You know, Christopher Nolan has this reputation where he's sort of a Steven Spielberg meets Stanley Kubrick, right? Okay. This very, very popular. He makes very popular films, but they're also very brainy and very thoughtful. Right. Well, in that vein, Interstellar very much is, you know, Close Encounters of the Third Kind meets 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Really?
So it's got that feel for it. And, you know, it's shot on film, so it has a little bit of that grainy look to it.
Oh, cool.
Film, yeah. He is one of the last great crusaders of film. And you can feel it, you know, at times. And it's a movie that I think is going to get people talking a lot. When the credits come up at the end, everyone kind of looks over at each other and goes, I need a minute. I need to think about all this. You know, cool. a lot happened.
That's good, though.
It is good, and it's very rare for a movie to be made on this scale that actually gets you, you know, feeling things and thinking. But I think it's going to do well. Yeah.
Isn't there something about this? Not a lot of computer animation in it either. Like very much actual, genuine special effects.
That's right. Everything looks like it. Like I said, because it's this very near future. The only special effects they have is, you know, there's a robot in it, but he sort of looks like a rectangular gumbo, basically, with just kind of these, you know, straight arms. It's a very kind of minimal idea of what, you know, a future robot would be. And yeah, I mean, it takes place on a farm for the first act, so almost the first hour. It's a 3-hour film.
Really?
And so you never get a sense of the larger world. So it's a lot of this kind of like Dust Bowl feel. It's like a future version of the Depression almost, right? And so, you know, you're seeing DVD players in the background even. It's almost like, you know, technology stopped maybe 10 years ago to an extent.
Really?
Wow. Have you seen anything like it? Is there anything that sort of
is comparable in that sense? Yeah. You know, it
seems epic. I mean, like I said, 3-hour film that's got all this in it.
I compared it initially to that Close Encounters, where it's really about, if you've seen that with Richard Dreyfuss from the 70s, it's really about him and how he's dealing with his family and this decision about, you know, if you have the choice to go to space and be this explorer or to just kind of stay and protect your family, what do you do? And that's kind of the end resolution of Close Encounters of the Third Kind. That's what kicks this one off. Right. So it starts off with the decision, do I leave my family, and what are the consequences of that? And because there's kind of some time bending happening, he's going to, you know, black holes, and there's a lot of talk about the fifth dimension. Things kind of get a little crazy when he does eventually, you know, resolve his. I don't want to give it away. You know, resolve his journey.
Right. Okay, all right. Let's switch over to a French film called Mommy.
Right. So do you remember last week when we talked about Maps to the Stars, and I said how Canadian it was to have this sort of twisted sexual relationship with the mother and all that? Well, yes, almost as if to prove my point, Xavier Dolan goes out and makes Mommy, right? Now, this film is actually, it's fantastic, and it's Canada's submission to the Oscars this year. Okay. So if you know how the Oscars work for Best Foreign Language Film.
No.
Every country, it's sort of like the World Cup. Every country's allowed one film that they submit to the Academy, and then the Academy picks one film, or they start narrowing it down. To eventually there's only 5 films.
Right.
And Canada has been doing fantastic. I mean, in the last 4 years, 3 of our films have been nominated, right? So out of the whole world. This year, we've had the best chance we've ever actually had, I would say, with this film Mommy, because Xavier Dolan, he's 25 years old. This is his 5th feature film.
Wow.
Every one of these films has played at festivals. He's made a film every year for the past 5 years. They play at Cannes. And this one is his most successful one yet, where it won the jury prize. And it explores this relationship between a mom who's sort of in this suspended state of adolescence herself. She's, always kind of tucking in her G-string and wearing these kind of tight jean skirts. And she's in her 40s, but her son is 16 years old, and he's this really aggressive, kind of violent, explosive child who she doesn't really know how to handle. And the movie opens with this title card that says, in a fictional Canada, the government passes a law. In a fictional version of Canada, the government passes a law where parents can basically turn their children over to the state. Right. And that's the premise of which the film kind of looms over the whole film, is she's having this troubled relationship. And, it doesn't come into effect until the end of the film, but you kind of always know that she has this eject button that she can kind of
play.
That's right. And so it plays on this dynamic, and it's just a fantastic film. It's really beautiful. It's getting a lot of buzz. It's in French, yeah. It's a Quebec film, and normally the director stars in his own films. He does everything. Okay, this guy, he writes his films, directs them, produces them, edits them. He does the costume design. He does the subtitle translation for his own films.
And he's 25?
He's 25, yeah. So he's really Canada's wonder kid, and making a big splash on the international stage. And sometimes that's what it takes, is you have to have some buzz around you.
Right.
This guy's got buzz around him, and we're going to see a lot more of him.
Sounds awesome. Christopher Redmond from the website is DearCastandCrew, and you'll find a link for him at live885.com, and then click on Startup. Thank you so much.